Today we are going to be talking about search engine optimization. It is my passion, it's my background. For anyone who doesn't know me, who's on the call, I'm Morgan Carey. I'm the CEO here at REW. And I actually got into the internet through SEO. So I was the very first SEO guy back in the late 90s and had a lot of fun working with, companies like Google and Yahoo. And I worked for companies like Adobe and Digital River and things of that nature before real estate. So I just, I love SEO. I've always loved SEO. And I've, more recently sort of gotten back into teaching it. And it's a lot of fun. And hopefully this class will give everybody a lot of value. So today I am going to be talking about the on-page side of SEO. So basically things you can do with your website, with your content, et cetera, to really help you rank for, starting with less competitive and what we call long tail keyword terms, but then we'll be talking more about sort of how do we get to that upper echelon of more competitive terms. And there's no way we're going to be able to cover everything SEO does. It's literally hundreds of classes. But I think this first class is the most important foundation because content is the most important foundation for all SEO. And so I'm going to go ahead and load my screen here, make sure that that is working. Who's ready to be an SEO ninja? Let us know in the chat. First thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about this concept of content clusters. Okay. HubSpot had an awesome graphic, so I didn't have to create one on this. But basically, what you'll see on the screen here is in the upper left, this is probably you right now. And I'll explain what this graphic is sort of is depicting. So most real estate websites, they have like a couple of main pages, right? It's usually like a home page, a search page, an about page, a contact page. And then what they'll do is they'll create one page for every community, right? So if you're in Edmonton, for instance, I know we've got a few folks from Edmonton on the call here. They'll have one Edmonton page and then one Canmore page and then one of every single page, and they make a list of all of the areas they want to rank for. And they create one page for each of them. Does that sound familiar to you guys? Right? And what ends up happening is you end up with this sort of shotgun approach of just single pages of content. And what I want to explain is that Google looks at your site, right? And they're trying to figure out, are you an expert in this particular area? Are you an expert in Edmonton? Are you an expert in, on Vancouver Island where we are, et cetera? And even without the rest of this class, just asking the question, if you only have one page of content on a specific topic, and lots of other websites have a lot more content on a specific topic, then logically, it would make sense that Google is not going to consider you an expert, right? With only one page of content, especially light content with just listings compared to other sites. And so I've got a couple of points I want to make here with respect to content clusters, and then we'll talk about how to build them. So point number one is if you only have one page, you are not an expert, right? You took a little bit of time to make one piece of content and then you moved on from that area. Now, the next part that we want to talk about is the fact that you need to link to your pages, right? Google is a link-based engine as well. And so if you only have one page of content, you typically only have one path to get there as well, right? So from your homepage to a main page, from your main page to a subpage, there's usually only one link between the page that it's getting linked to and the page that you've created. And so I want to say that one link does not make you an authority, right? And then obviously Google cares about diversity of content, right? They care about quality, uniqueness, etc. And if you have only one type of page, then that does not make you diverse. So those are some points I want to make, is that almost everybody I've seen in real estate does SEO the same way. They add one page for every single thing, and then they try to build a bunch of external link authority in order to try to get their one page to rank above everybody else's one page. Does that sound familiar? Is there anyone out there on this list right now who has only one page for each of their areas? Let me know in the chat. So now we're going to talk about content clustering. This is the graphic down below. And so this concept of content clustering is where you take that one area of focus. We'll use, Vancouver Island. I'm getting ready to build 1 page per area. Dan, hopefully after this. And oh, by the way, if you guys could make sure, set your chat to everyone, because this is just going to the panelists. But Dan, after this call, hopefully you will not make 1 page per area, because it's not going to work. It's not enough, right? So let's talk about the concept of content clusters. And so with content clusters, what you do is you take that area of focus, and typically in real estate, that's like an area page, right? Like that's like the city of Edmonton, or in my case, Vancouver Island, right? That's what I want to be perceived as an expert in, all things real estate on Vancouver Island, right? And so I'm going to choose that as my main topic. We're going to call that the pillar. And that's what you can see here in the center of each of these groups of pages. You've got this pillar, this main page. And the idea behind content clusters is you have all sorts of other kinds of content that are related to that topic, that all support that main topic, right? So you'll see here, they have circles, they have hexagons, they have triangles, etc. Each one of those little shapes represents a different kind of content, right? But each one of those kinds of content in this cluster is related to that pillar. And so I'm going to take you through how to create that, right? So in our case, for real estate webmasters, and in most real estate websites, I said I was going to take you through 3 types, but there's really 4 types, right? So you have your main pillar page, your area page. That's what we're going to take you through. And then you have, at REW, we have something called subpages, which we're going to create. Then we have blog posts, which we're going to create. There's actually a 4th type. Does anyone know what the 4th type of content that almost everyone has on their real estate website that can support their pillar page? Anyone want to take a guess in the chat? What's that 4th piece of content that almost everyone has? IDX searches. Perfect. Exactly. You have listings, right? And again, even if you think about listings in your current infrastructure, right? If you have only a home page that links to a community page, and then you have listings on that community page, how many links do each of those listings get? Only 1. You've only linked to that listing from the community page that was linked from the home page. How are you going to rank for listing details pages if you only have 1 link, right? Pages need lots of links in order to rank, lots of citation, right? And so when we think about our content clusters, our pillar is our main area, and then our subpages, our blog posts, and our listings are all going to become part of that content cluster, right? And so some of the things that you're going to get out of this, right, when you build these content clusters is, first, you'll have more content. And I put on the slide here, more content is basically like more, if you're using a fishing analogy, I don't know why I can't catch fish, but you've got more hooks in the water, you're going to catch more fish, right? But also, as you can see in the visual here, when you build content clusters, you're building more links to your pillar pages. And so when you build more links to your pillar pages, it makes those pages stronger because you get more internal topic-specific linking, right? And the last thing that this content cluster is going to do for you is it's going to provide clarity for Google in terms of you being an authority, right? Everyone else has 1 page and they're all trying to fight over who has the most, link page rank or whatever. You can tell Google you're an authority by saying, listen, I got 20 pages that are all related to this particular topic. So when Google compares you with 20 pages to the person who has only 1 page, who are they going to pick, right? Especially if your content is high quality, if it's unique, etc. So that's content clustering as a concept, but I'm actually going to take you through it in practice, right? And I'm actually going to show you a quick case study that we did. And then, because my SEO team is on here as well, and we're recording this for future SEO staff members so that we can make sure they understand how REW does content when they get brought on. I'm going to take you through the case study first, and then we're going to look at an actual live website. So hopefully my little right hand works here. So here's the case study. Can everyone see the screen? Cool. So basically what we did was, as I mentioned, we live here on Vancouver Island. And we decided to get my wife into real estate, right? And obviously REW has some capabilities when it comes to lead generation and SEO and things of that nature. And so we made a list of sort of, before we even started talking about SEO, we talked about what kind of properties do we want to sell, right? High dollar value, fun to show. So we chose waterfront, right? We live on the water, we have a place on the water, we've got a lot of network that lives on the water, et cetera. So it made sense to pick waterfront as our first sort of key target, right? And what you'll see here is a quick screenshot of last 12 months from Search Console or Webmaster tools. And I'll be going into that a little bit afterwards. But you'll see that obviously some great keywords were already ranking in the last 12 months, right? I think there's like 9 or 10 that were, average 1 or 1.9. And now, let me just take a look at my math down here. So in total, last 12 months there's about 80,000 impressions, something like that available. And we got 2,009 clicks out of that. And now I'm going to go to where we are today. So this is the last 28 days. So this sort of gives you a run rate. And at this point, through this process that I'm going to take you through, we have discovered 543 different keywords that are serving us impressions, right? Meaning that could give us potential clicks, right? And now on a monthly basis, there's nearly 8,000 impressions. So the number of impressions is going up, and we believe that this number will continue to go up, right? We've increased our click-through rate, which is based on how many people are shown on the search engines versus how many people click, by 25%. We've increased our amount of #1 rankings by 170%. We've increased our overall traffic to the website by 50%. But more importantly, and I had Carly do a report for me on this, just out of waterfront related keywords, our first hub, our first pillar that we chose, we've done $10.5 million in transactions, right? So, in terms of the economics of whether it's worth investing in just a single pillar like this, right? I think in most markets, you're 2.5%, 3% commission. It's a decent amount of money in choosing a pillar and really going deep on, making sure that you can start to dominate that particular area, right? So a couple things I want to talk about on this slide here. First of all, in the #1 position, like if I go back, I should be able to click back here. If I go back, you'll see that when we had less #1 rankings, the average click-through rate was 2.7%. But as your rankings increase, right, as you get to that #1 spot, right, the likelihood of someone clicking on that impression is way higher. So what I've done is I've done an analysis of when we get to that #1 spot, when we get to the #1 rankings, our average click-through rate is 12%, meaning out of 100 people who do a search, 12 people will click on that particular listing. And so that tells us about the potential, right? If we can get more than 10,000 impressions on a monthly basis, and we can get them in the position 1 to 2, that means we can get 1,200 clicks per month. Highly targeted, super valuable. Like the keywords we're ranking for are things like waterfront homes, Vancouver Island, waterfront properties for sale. And like, these are what we call long tail keywords, right? They're far more specific, far more targeted, far more valuable, right? So because my SEO team is on here, I've made a recommendation. I think we should spend another 100 hours just on this particular Vancouver Island waterfront topic, because even though we're doing really well, we've got tons of #1 rankings, there's still so many other keywords. There's 543 keywords that we can still try to get to rank to #1, and most of them are not very competitive. So that's pretty exciting. And out of that, we should be able to get at least another $10 million in sales on top of the 10 million we're already closing from the current rankings. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about the case study or click-through rates or anything like that before I get into the demo? I got a yes. Okay, great. So let's get into, I'm hooked, tell me more. Awesome, that's good. So how do you make sure there isn't cannibalization, such a good question. So we'll actually talk about cannibalization as we get into this next slide. So I'll talk about it now. So what Derek Carlson is referring to here, he's asked everyone, keyword cannibalization is basically when you have a lot of different pages that are all related to the same topic, that are all targeting the same keyword, right? So if I have Vancouver Island waterfront as my main page, and then I create a bunch of other Vancouver Island waterfront pages, then Google's going to get confused with which page they're supposed to rank. And they kind of, the data suggests, or the science suggests, that Google splits the credit between those pages. And so one page doesn't rank as well, and you have a bunch of pages that aren't ranking well. So that's what keyword cannibalization is. And the way we avoid that, I'm actually going to teach you exactly how when we get into the demo. But the simple answer is this, is that you make sure you choose a different topic and don't mix the topics, right? When it comes to keyword choice. So I'll explain that in more detail, and it'll make a lot more sense when I have the site up. But this is where we're going next. This word is UBO, by the way. I've said it's UBO time. So those of you maybe follow me on social media, I've been building my lake house. We've been having a lot of fun. Super awesome project. This is actually Winston, our bulldog. And we love this community. It's on Vancouver Island. It's about an hour away from us. And we're planning, now that we finished our house, to be up there like May through September kind of thing. And so we've decided that this is our next keyword target, because we want to focus on UBO. We want to dominate specifically the waterfront rankings, but anything luxury related in UBO, so that when we're up there in the summertime, Carly can be showing homes and doing all this sort of stuff. The homes we're interested in are a $2 million plus price point. They're super fun to show. I'm going to make lots of friends, hopefully, in doing it. There's not very much SEO competition. And like I said, we just built there, so we have a reason to go there, right? And so this is what my SEO team is about to get tasked with. And in fact, we've already started, which is why I can sort of load this up for you. So, so we've started building out the UBO pillar, right? And so when I do my pillars, very much like you would, right? I choose my main topic, and it's based on generally the area plus real estate, right? That's what everyone tends to kind of get right now, right? You choose your main topic, and you've got this page, your file name is area-real-estate, you've got proper titles, you've got optimization, etc. And hopefully, and I'll show you an example of what a good page looks like. Hopefully, when you build this thing out using Real Estate Webmasters or anything else, right, you want to make sure you've got H1 tags, right, heading tags with the main keyword, which is UBO real estate. In this case, I put waterfront because I care about more specifically waterfront, right? And you can see here that, oh, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry, I'm on my waterfront page. Let me go to my UBO main page first. I skipped a step there. UBO main page, waterfront is what we're going to talk about next. So you can see UBO real estate, UBO real estate, UBO real estate. So this is answering Derek's question about cannibalization. I've chosen one specific group of keywords for this particular main pillar page, UBO real estate, right? So you'll see it referenced over and over again in that particular structure, right? And so when you're building out these pages, access to available inventory, you need to have unique, 100% unique. You cannot take it from somewhere else. You must write it. 100% unique content, right? Our platform automatically creates statistics when you add listings. You obviously want to have the listings because this is what makes this is what gets you your conversions, but also this is what helps Google find those other pages, those listing pages, with respect to your content cluster. So hopefully your pages, you put a lot of work into, right? Unique, we took all these photos, right? Always have unique photos, always have unique content, right? It's more work, but it's worth it, right? And then some other pieces to the structure, we've included frequently asked questions, etc. So like you really want to have just a great, high quality, high density, unique content pillar page, right? So that's your main pillar. So we're going to focus around the topic of UBO real estate. And now we're going to choose subtopics, right? The subtopics are how you build supporting content for the main topic, right? And so this is what I had opened originally, was my UBO waterfront page. Okay, so my first topic was UBO real estate. My next topic is still related to UBO, and this is important. This is not cannibalization, right? It's relation. So UBO and UBO, that's the connection, right? But now for this page, I'm inserting waterfront everywhere. UBO waterfront, UBO waterfront, UBO waterfront, etc. This is a supporting subpage of the pillar, okay? So my main page is linked to from everywhere. My subpage is only linked to from my UBO pages, right? Now, if you're with Real Estate Webmasters, we have intuitive category, subcategory navigation already, right? So our system already knows, and I'll show you in the back end here, our system already knows if a page belongs to another page, right? So the way you do that is you can reassign, you'll see here, you can assign it to a main page, you can reassign it to subpages, etc. So go to the UBO waterfront page just to show you how that works. So you'll see that my UBO waterfront page is assigned to the UBO real estate page. So we automatically do the linking for you. So your main page, your pillar is what we call a main page. And then your sub pages are the ones that belong to that main page, right? So I've got the UBO waterfront page. And again, high quality, unique content, right? Must be unique. If you can, try to avoid replicating the exact same property snippet as well. Even have differences, like even if you change, like if they have, like if there's not very many listings and you kind of want to show some, even if you change the order or you change, one has 3, one has 6, like you want to have Google think that these pages are incredibly different from each other, right? But again, I've got a layout that I like, right? I've got content, I've got statistics, I've got listings, I've got more content, I've got bullets, you know, and for those of you who want to really study how to construct a page well from an SEO perspective, having diversity, H1s, H2s, bullets, italics, links, all of these different things should be within your page, right? Because beautiful page, got my frequently asked questions again. Those frequently asked questions should be different than your main page, right? Don't get lazy and start copying that snippet you made for your pillar. Don't copy that content to your subpage because that's where you get cannibalization, right? Google doesn't know which of those pages should be credited if you use the same content twice, right? Never do duplicate content, right? And so in this particular example, I've got subpage waterfront, and we're only just getting started on this, right? My next subpage is luxury, right? This is a subtopic of UBO real estate, right? So UBO luxury, UBO waterfront, they both support the UBO real estate main topic. Does that make sense? All right. Dan's leading the way with the with the responses on chat. Love it. So Derek says, oh, there's more questions here. So I don't know why I'm not getting notifications. Okay, so what about video? Oh, we're totally going to talk about video. So Dan, video is awesome. The better you can make it, the better it will serve you. And we're actually going to show you an example of video today. So yes, video is one of those elements you really want to have on your page. How many words per page should you have? What's not enough or too much is a question. So there's no rule about how many words you should have, right? But here's what I'd say is the more stuff you have that is not completely unique, the more words you should have, right? So think about it this way. Let's look at the listings for a second, right? On this particular page, there are only 3 listings, right? And so this bit of content here is not that much, but it's still kind of listing content. It kind of looks copy pasty to Google, right? So if you only have 3 listings, you don't have to have a ton of unique content in order to offset the listings, right? Listings are sort of copy paste everywhere. They can be found on a lot of different sites. And so, but I would still structurally, it's not about word count, but I would choose enough words that it looks nice on the top right? So, this is probably about 150 words, something like that. I'd have my listings, and I always want to sandwich my listings with additional unique content, right? But it doesn't actually matter if this was 2 paragraphs or if this is 4 paragraphs. That is not going to change how well your page ranks. But I will say, the more you write, the more hooks you have in the water. Back to that reference, right? Because if you do SEO properly, you're actually not doing keyword research in the beginning. You're doing keyword research afterwards. And the way you do your keyword research is, once you create your content, you can head over to the Webmaster Tools and you can look at what keywords, the ones you knew of and the ones you didn't, are bringing traffic. And then you can make those your intentional targets, right? But the length of the page, there's no hard and fast rule, right? Just have a decent amount of unique content. So those are our first 2 pillars, right? Can you explain how subpages are structured? Are they actually linked on the main page? Generally, no. I don't generally link my, so back to the slides here, right? If you think about the pillars, subpages are linked within, can you guys see my slides right now, Liana? Great. Subpages are linked to the pillar and only to the pillar, right? That's what makes it the pillar. It links out and comes back in, right? And so the only time I ever link from like a main page is if something's super competitive, right? And I just really want to get Google over there. I really want to get some extra link juice to that, but there's other ways to do it. So in general, the only place a subpage is linked to from the main areas is the pillar itself. But I'm going to show you a trick with listings details pages where we actually do some sneaky, awesome stuff where we get additional links to your subpages. But does that make sense for you, Jackie? Great. So Andre, to answer your question, you're correct. If you have an REW website, as long as you make it a subpage of a main page, it is automatically linked. But don't click this hide from navigation button, because if you click the hide from navigation button, it won't show in the nav. So leave that unclicked, right? And then yes, REW automatically takes care of all of the interlinking between your pages. Because this is the cool thing, right? If you're on the main page, right, your navigation is linking to your subpages. But if you go to any subpage, those subpages are not only linking back up to your main page, they are also linking to each other, right? And just to explain how that works, let me go somewhere else, like selling, right? Well, I don't even have the nav turned on for selling. Let me go somewhere where I have the nav turned on. Let's say the Nanaimo page. You won't see, so you'll see all the subpages of Nanaimo. You won't see those UBO subpages linked here, right? Because they belong within the UBO category, if that makes sense. But yes, we automatically take care of it for you in the content management system. Now, let's talk about that third pillar. This is blogging, right? So with your main topic, you can basically, let's just set a rule that it's always going to be area real estate. Let's make it easy on you, right? Your subpages will be the logical, really competitive terms that you want to go after that don't have just area real estate in them. So like UBO homes, right? UBO land for sale. Any of the things I can think of, beachfront, water view, each one of those things, if they have enough searches, might actually make sense. What's the max number of subpages you'd want to have under a regional main page? Again, there's no maximum. That's actually set by what the opportunities are. So before I go to the blogs, let's go to the opportunities. So if you remember what I said with respect to do your content first and then do your keyword research, this is why. So we only want to create a subpage if there's enough traffic to justify going after that term, okay? And so what I've done here, I have Webmaster Tools open, right? Search Console, I'm old, so I call it Webmaster Tools, but it's now called Search Console. Can everyone see the Search Console right now? Okay, great. So what you're gonna see here is you're gonna see the amount of impressions available for the specific keywords that have started ranking so far. And I'll put the rankings on here just so you can see that as well. But like, obviously, Yubo real estate is going to have a decent amount of impressions. Yubo homes for sale. You know, these are the ones we kind of just know, right? But I have not ever in my life intentionally optimized for RV lots, right? That's just not a keyword that comes to my mind. But because of the SEO team just writing unique content and really thinking about, you know, just what kinds of things do people talk about in Yubo and whatnot, we've sort of organically started ranking. We're in position number 31, so we're not going to get any traffic from it, obviously. We've got zero clicks. But this is telling me that RV lots might actually be a thing. So if I'm Carly as a realtor, or I'm Carly's marketer, I would say, hey, Carly, you know, should we be looking at RV lots, right? And when you have that conversation, I already know what she's likely going to say. She's likely going to say, no, there's not that much demand for it. But lots in general, like land, plots of land, that is something that's actually quite in demand. And so what I would do is I'd create a subpage for Yubo land for sale. And then I would have content that broke down like RV lots, the different kinds of land you could buy. And then when I do that, Google's going to find that page. Then they're going to suggest a bunch more keywords that I might be able to go after. And I'll be able to keep following the trail of the traffic that comes. Does that make sense? All right. So we're going to stick on this section here, but we're going to talk about blog content, right? So that's the third pillar. So if you think about main page, most competitive, sub pages, still pretty competitive. Your blogs are how you create supporting content for keywords that are really not that competitive at all, or that you just want to write about because you just want to make a connection and build more authority, right? So blogs, their purpose is to support the big keywords and hopefully get a couple more rankings. So I'm going to use the other term, or one of the other terms we've already done SEO for, right? So I'll go to Vancouver Island, and I'm going to actually open this up to 12 months because I want to see lots of keyword data, okay? And so I'm going to sort this by impressions, right? So this is back to Jackie's question about the max number of subpages, right? I would create a subpage or a blog post, depending on how competitive I think it is, for every single keyword group I want to go after, right? So these ones are obvious. We're already doing well for these ones. They've got lots of traffic, etc. Let's go to some of the not obvious ones. Let's go down here, right? We start evaluating some other keywords that we got. So for instance, like foreclosure listings, right? Do I want to blog about that? I don't know. But what I see here is I see that there's a decent amount of impressions for it, right? And I already rank 6.6 in Google, and I'm not even trying, right? That's probably a blog post or something like that, right? So what I do is I go, and same thing with court-ordered sale, right? We're not intentionally optimizing for that. So if Carly decided she wanted to be in that business and she wanted to focus on those things, she could either create a subpage for court-ordered sales, or she could create a blog post. In this case, I don't think it's very competitive because we're ranking accidentally for it. So that would be a blog post, right? Versus, you know, something that's maybe a little bit more competitive. We're only ranking 57.5 for Realtor Vancouver Island. So maybe I need to create either a main page around realtor related keywords, or at least a subpage, right? Because I can tell that this is more competitive because I'm not just organically ranking for it, right? And I go down here, and through this process, and in fact, another note from my SEO team, we've been doing waterfront and we've been doing lakefront, but I don't think we have any oceanfront pages. And so I've actually seen several keyword terms as I've been preparing for this particular presentation, where oceanfront is a really popular keyword, right? And I can explore that more using the Webmaster console, right? Let's just put in the word ocean. We've already got almost 7,000 impressions for the word ocean, and we're not optimizing for it yet, right? So this is going to be what drives me to choose. As soon as we're done here, the SEO team is going to start creating a main page around oceanfront, right? And then we're going to have sub pages for all the various oceanfront terms that are somewhat competitive. But look at this opportunity. We've developed enough authority that we're ranking on the first page without even trying, right? Because we developed our content first and we've been building up our authority, right? Oceanfront homes for sale, Vancouver Island. That's awesome. I love that, right? And hopefully it ranks even better. This is last 12 months. If I went to the last 28 days, it's probably ranking even better. I'm actually going to stress test that. Right now we're ranking in the 2, 2.9, 3.6, etc. So use your search console to choose your topics, right? And use your common sense, right? Like if Ocean View Village Courtney only gets 1 impression, don't write about it, or write about it within a blog post that has a bigger topic. So you can mention the words, but you're not going to put the effort of creating a subpage. All right, so now with blogging is not dynamic. So I want to go back to some of our main pages here, because what people oftentimes forget is they forget to link these things together. So they write a blog post, and again, their blog is linked to from their main page somewhere, and then that blog links to that one post. You've now created another one of those floating islands, another one of those pieces of content that just doesn't link back to its pillar, right? So it's really important to, when you write blog posts, to make sure you link back to your main pages, right? And you'll see here, I know they're sneaking in blog posts somewhere. So like, here's how you link to blog posts. You don't have to create custom calls to action for blogs, right? You can literally just contextually link to it. You can see I've highlighted outdoor activities, right? I click on that. That's a blog post all about outdoor activities near Yubo. This H1 tag is not really a big keyword. It's not like your blog post does not have to be about the keyword. Make it interesting, because for your blog posts, you're hopefully going to take them and you're going to repurpose them on social media as well. So you're going to share them on Facebook, you're going to share them on LinkedIn, etc. Right? So think more about your blog posts as their job is to support your content and link back and create more relevance, right? But you're not necessarily going to be as specifically focused on keywords, right? But the first thing you'll see when you see this blog post is the community of Yubo. It automatically links back to its main pillar, right? That's the piece you cannot forget when you create your blog posts, is your blog posts are supporting content for your subpages and they are supporting content for your pillar page, right? But with blogs, just have fun, right? Just write about what you want to write about. They can be short, they can be long, they can be stream of consciousness. They must be unique, right? But you're adding more hooks in the water from using that analogy, right? You're creating more content. You're creating more opportunities to discover more keywords, if that makes sense, right? Now, somebody brought up video, and I came across this. I think, is Marguerite on the call? I think she's on the call. My wife has taken it upon herself to start learning blogging, and she has like a player coach friend, and they are creating blogs, and I love this. So where is it? Is it the community spotlight, or is this one here? Marguerite is on a plane. Oh, thanks, Jerry. This is a blog my wife created, right? Didn't ask me how to do it. She just saw what we were doing, jumped in on it, was working with Marguerite, and she's actually now added an additional content type, right? Which is a video, and again, unique, high quality. I'll play like 3 seconds of it, not too long here, but.
Are you curious if lake life is for you? Specifically, Lake Cowichan and Yubo. A lot of people think it's pronounced Yubu, but it's not.
Anyways, my wife's super cute. But she's creating high quality videos, and she's creating another kind of content, right? Which is super high value, right? This was fun for her to do. And what I would say about content development is it shouldn't be a drag. It shouldn't be like, if you're passionate about the area you choose, which is why we chose Yubo in the first place, it should be fun to create additional content, right? And you should be motivated to go out and take some beauty, like your photos, you should be able to get off your social media, because every day when we're out there, we take a picture of the sunset. We've got tons of content, right? And then she's gone and like, she's added some personal history. Her grandparents actually landed in Yubo when they came to Canada, and he was like the foreman of the mill. And then we're linking back to a bunch of like additional content that's outside of our site, etc. Like, so this is great. But in this case, I don't think Carly knew to link back to the pillar page. So this is what typically happens. People, my wife is beautiful. I'd put her on stage more often. Thanks, Jackie. Oh, that was just the panelists. Sorry. Well, thank you anyways. So simple fix for almost all of you, right? Just go in and I'm gonna grab that link here, one sec. Go in and link up your content from your blogs back to your main pages if you haven't done that already. So I can go find that right here, Yubo. If you are with Real Estate Webmasters, this is how you do it. I don't know how to do it if you're with somebody else. I hit save. So she already had that great piece of content, and now it's even better because now it's supporting her pillar page. Does that make sense? I got a note saying Google saying video indexing issues found on your site. That is a great question for the forums. Definitely can't debug videos right now, but another topic. So forums is actually on your homework, so I'll get to that afterwards. But that's the idea, guys. You have those those are the three main topics, right? So you've got your pillar page, which in almost every case is going to be like your main area page, right? So like I'll use where I live in Nanaimo, right? Nanaimo is the main page. And in this case, we actually have sub pages that are neighborhoods within Nanaimo, right? Like I specifically live in South Jinglepot, right? And so like we want to rank for things like South Jinglepot homes for sale, of course, and hopefully we do, great. You'll see that it's got the breadcrumbs for Nanaimo, etc., right? So main page, sub pages, all related to the main page. That's your pillar, blog posts. And now since we have a little bit of extra time, I'm going to give you the bonus on this, okay? Now this does require programming. If you're not with Real Estate Webmasters, you'd have to talk to your own person about it, and I'll show you a thread where I give you all the tricks. But let's go back to that Yubo page, and I'm going to show you how you start including your listings as part of the support network for your pillar. So here I just chose one of the Yubo listings, and it's properly optimized. It has, breadcrumbs, H1 tags for the address, because the address is what we're optimizing for, right? But you'll also see that it's connected to Yubo from a keyword perspective. And so when you get down here, what you'll see is we've actually created some similar pages algorithms, right? What we've done, we've had the programmers listen for any file names that have Yubo in them. And we link to each of those. So like, here's your luxury page that we just talked about. Here's the Yubo waterfront page we just talked about. Here's the Yubo real estate page. Note for the programmers and SEOs on this call, we should be excluding the PPC pages. We shouldn't be linking to the PPC pages because we don't want them to rank. So even REW has some things we can do better. But that's the idea, right? So every single Yubo page, every single Yubo listing will link back to each of those supporting pages because we can detect that the word Yubo is on the details page, and we know what pages have that Yubo in the file name, right? So this is how you create that fourth level of support when it comes to your pillar, right? And we even interlink all of the various properties together so that there isn't just one link from the community page to a details page. It's not just one way for Google to find a listing. Google can now find all the other listings in Yubo through this randomization function down here, where we link to all the other listing pages in Yubo, right? So we're helping Google find Google, that was their original name. We're helping Google find all of the pages that are in the MLS. We're helping support their own interlinking by linking them to each other, but then we're linking them all back to the main pillar pages. So that is a bit of super sneaky awesomeness there that we do at Real Estate Webmasters. That's sort of an example of programmatic SEO, right? whereby we're leveraging a type of content, IDX pages, that nobody else is leveraging. It gives you an advantage, right? So back to, and Jackie had a question about video. Let's talk about your homework, right? So your first bit of homework is, and we're going to get to that question because this one's first. I want everyone to make sure that they are associated with Search Console, right? So you can go to, I'll just put it in the chat here. I always use Webmasters, webmasters.google.com, okay? That'll take you to Search Console. If you have not verified your website in Search Console yet, please do so. It's a critical piece. You can also use version 4 analytics, and you can link these together. So you can also use your analytics if you link them. But I like the Webmasters console because it's separate. What I want you to do is I want you to explore the performance tab. I want you to pick one of your pillars, right? And then I want you to do what we call a baseline, right? Which is what I've done today, right? I've taken a screenshot. This is for our own accountability. There's only 38 keywords currently related to UBO that we're ranking for. And really none of them have good rankings at this point. This is our starting point, right? We've picked our pillar. We've taken a screenshot of our starting point, right? I want you all to do that because you need to measure your results against your starting point, right? And, you know, obviously make sure it includes how many keywords, the average ranking, how many impressions, all that kind of stuff. That's your first homework. Does anyone have any questions about Search Console before I get to your next homework? Everybody's good. Okay, so next, use the forums, right? So Jackie, if you're getting an issue, an indexing issue found on your site through Webmaster Tools, through analytics or elsewhere, that's a great place for you. If you're a real estate Webmasters customer, especially, just go there, find the appropriate forum, whether that's website forum or SEO or whatever you're having challenges with. Make sure you use the forums, right? Because that's where you're going to get, you know, a lot of feedback, a lot of ideas, etc. Make sure you read all the threads on SEO and read all the threads on, well, all the things really, but start new threads, right? You got to remember, it's rew.com/forums, I think. Go ahead and click that. Let me know if that's correct, but you can also get to it. Let's just go, you just click on the forums or the community. How do I get this to stop sharing? There we go. So yeah, so if you just go to rew.com, that'll redirect you to realestatewebmasters.com. Just click on the forums in the top right-hand side. And by the way, since I'm here, I do want to show you that list of optimizations for listings. I've actually outlined all of them. So all the secrets are on the forums. There is no secrets, right? So if you want to know what we're doing, right, just go to the forums. I'll teach you all of it. I want you guys to benefit from these things. I want you guys doing these things, right? So I've got screenshots here about how to properly optimize your listings pages, all that kind of stuff. There's articles on, you know, how to structure those content pages that we were just talking about, like all kinds of good stuff in there, for sure. But yeah, if it is a Real Estate Webmasters website and you're having an issue, just go ahead and go to, let's say you have Renaissance or whatever, just go to the Renaissance forum and just make a post. You just click the new topic on the top there and just type whatever it is you need. Does that make sense? Okay, so back to the last piece of homework. First, I want everyone to make sure they stop with the ego terms, right? You do not generally, unless you're like, you know, Sarah McClendon or someone who's already done a really great job building up your overall authority from other websites back to you, right? You probably do not have enough authority to rank for city real estate. So I need everyone to forget the ego terms. That's what we call city homes for sale, city real estate. Those are super competitive. And you're not going to make any money going after them because you'll never get to the top 3 spots until you build up enough authority. If you're a big brokerage or you work with Real Estate Webmasters, it's different. But what you need to think about is those opportunities where there's enough traffic, but you can go for the long tail, right? That's where the money is, right? The leads are also a lot better. So area real estate does not have high quality leads, but Money in niches, AKA long tail, all day long. Exactly, Chavi. And yeah, it's just better. I don't want 1,000 leads that are not very specific at all. I want 100 really good ones, right? Next, from a homework perspective, these are my big asks. And so I want to teach you something and also ask for something at the same time. So anyone who's on here has probably been doing a lot of studying about SEO and a lot of studying about internet marketing. You know how important reviews are to any business, but also to rankings. And so I'm going to see if I can steal this here. I'd love for anyone to give us a Google review if you love this content and want to hear more. And also G2. In my world, software, G2 is the other one. And then my last ask is that even though we're going to do a great job on page, building all these great content networks for Yubo, you still need to get other pages outside of your own site to link to you. So if anyone would be willing to give Carly a link to Yubo Real Estate, I put the code here, and I'll actually just copy paste the code so you guys have it. 1 or 2 links is enough, guys, right? That'll help Google validate the authority of that section for Carly, because that's the job we have to do that nobody wants to do. Even if we do a great job on page, we still have to get other websites to link to us, right? And the way you do that, you don't just pop a link, out of context to one of your friends or to one of your contributors, right? Like I was noticing Sarah McLennan, for instance, who I just mentioned, right? She does a great job with her blog, and she actually weaves sort of weaves links to her partners directly into her market updates, right? Where she's got quotes and things of that nature. I'll find it somewhere. But so if you want to give somebody like Carly a link, if you're blogging about waterfront, right, you could get a quote from Carly, which you could ask her for a real quote. And you could say, Carly Carey, Yubo real estate expert. That becomes the link. Thinks that waterfront properties are going to keep their value even in a downturn, right? There are creative ways to get contextual links back to your site. And so, and by the way, we're happy to link to you too, of course, right? It's got to be for the right reasons. It's got to be valid. But if you want to author an article, something like that, links are so precious and you don't need very many of them, right? But that's my other ask. If you like the content, give us a 5-star review wherever you want. And if you want to contribute to the success of this next campaign, the Yubo campaign, go ahead, shoot Carly a link. And I have like 5 minutes for questions. If anyone has questions on any of this stuff, what do you got? Go ahead and use the chat.
Morgan, before we leave as well, I just wanted 2 things. So can we expect another SEO webinar soon from you?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing this probably once a month. I'm speaking in Europe for the next 2 weeks, actually. I'm on a bit of a tour over there. Oh, by the way, anyone who's with REMAX, who's going to be at the REMAX Europe convention, will be there next week. Or anyone who's at Leading RE in Portugal will also be there the following week. So happy to get together, talk SEO in person if you like. Andre asked a question about, yeah, so I would say about a month from now, for sure. And if you could, AJ's got an awesome webinar coming up. Can you put the seats?
Drop that in.
Yes. Go to AJ's webinar. What's best link from a page or link from a blog? Andre, I'm not sure I understand your question. You're like, are you saying what's better is if you get a link from directly from a page or a blog? That doesn't matter, right? But what does matter is the kind of link, right? So if you drop a link in the footer, like Google knows the footer is like kind of the bullshit area, right? So Google doesn't give you a lot of credit for links in a footer, for instance, right? But what you want is you want links that are like contextual within content, within what appears to be an article, right? So I don't know, if I GoDaddy does this, but basically you want, well, actually, let's just go to the blog. Let's go to Carly's blog. That's be easier. Of course, I do that every time. So this is contextual, right? You want it high in the page and you want it embedded within content, right? That's a contextual link, as opposed to just dropping it down here in the footer or something like that, right? So Google cares about where you put the links. If it's surrounded by relevant content, that's a much higher value link, if that makes sense. Derek says, is it possible to have custom work speed up the site? I noticed Carly's main page is very fast. Yes. We actually just ran a whole thread on this. You guys should check it out. And we're actually doing a white paper on it as well. What we did was we offered to do free WPO, or web performance optimization, for page speed, and people volunteered their sites, right? And I'll post the link here. So if you read this, what you'll read is all of the things that were commonly causing speed issues, right? So we're teaching you how to speed up your page. Generally, it's client created. Your images are probably too large. You're probably using improperly optimized third-party scripts, etc. So that thread has all the goodies in terms of how to do it yourself, but programmatically, or if you want, I mean, we're obviously very, very good at it, right? So we do have WPO specialists available to do that for you. But if you want to take a shot at doing some of it yourself, read that thread that I have just shared in the chat. That'll help you. Is it possible that was that question? Chavi says, I've been to a lot of SEO webinars and conferences. This was the best presentation on Pillar. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, Chavi. Yeah, and let's nerd out. Let's do something else next time, right? If you guys want to talk about link building, if you guys want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, I'd love to know. You can hit me up at morgan@rew.com. Like I said, this is one class. Of probably 100 I could teach. And each one of these things, like if you join AJ's class next week, he'll talk about the Kaizen approach, which is incremental improvements. This is just one thing to improve your SEO. There are hundreds, right? And so, but you don't have to get all 100 of those things correct in order to improve your rankings. Incremental improvements over time, compounded, is what's going to get your SEO the best results. So guys, thank you so much for your time today. As Eliana mentioned, probably be about another month till I'm back and have another SEO presentation, but I look forward to seeing you there. And again, if anyone can shoot Carly a link for Yubo, and hopefully that reminds you to ask for links whenever you can. I really appreciate it. So thanks again.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Morgan.